Hi everybody, it's just Callum and Wes. We've just come together to put a bit of a video together just to help everybody with potential for shoulder weakness. We're just going to do some very easy exercises, and then we're going to show 3 different progressions just to hopefully get a little bit more control of your shoulder and hopefully help you to then go back into normal everyday activities. Okay, for this first exercise, we're going to look at shoulder range of movement and stretching up to the ceiling. We're going to have Wes lying on the back, so you can be any surface on the floor or a bed. And we're going to look at taking hold of your potentially weaker side with a good side, and we're going to help stretch it towards the ceiling. So Wes is taking his right hand with his left hand there, and we're just going to hold it towards the ceiling and lower it back down. So you're using your good arm to help the weaker arm reach towards the ceiling. Trying to keep the elbow in towards your side for good shoulder control. Try not to lift the shoulder right forward off the floor. We're just looking for nice, easy, controlled movements. And nice and slow back down towards the rest position as well. Okay, so a variation on that exercise for further range of movement is taking hold of your hand. You can take the same position or you can interlace like Wes is doing there. And we're going to take our arms, both arms up above the head. Again, looking for good control, and we're not looking to get your arms right over the top towards the floor, as that will be too much of a range of movement. And we're looking for control from both arms, just like Wes is doing. So for this next exercise, we're looking again at control, but we're looking at control within a very short range of movement with your arm in front of you. So again, we're lying on our back on any surface, and we're going to take arm up in front of you, and we're going to think about having a clock face, kind of going from where his head to his toes. So 12 o'clock is where his arm's at. And we're going to take the arm in very, very controlled motions from about 5-2 to 5 past in a nice, easy movement. So we want nice, slow, controlled movements. We don't want to go too far, because what we don't want is the arm to drop down in front of you or beside you. For this next exercise, it's part of the same exercise. We're going to put arms straight up in front of you again, and we're going to imagine again a clock face, so 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and we're just going to take the arm slightly from 5-2 to 5 past again, just across the body this time. So again, looking for nice controlled movements from side to side. If you have any weakness, you can have a helper just make sure that your hand doesn't drop towards the side, and just make sure we get to a point where we can stop and keep it controlled. And you might have to go either side with that one as well. So again, we're looking for control and making sure that we're not lifting or rolling the shoulder as we're doing this exercise. Okay. This time we're just going to go in small circles in front of yourself, and as you get better at this, you might find you can be able to do bigger circles. But again, just nice controls. You can have a partner with you to make sure your arm doesn't drop, and again, making sure that the shoulder doesn't roll as you're doing this. Nice and easy, and you're going to go clockwise and anti-clockwise with this one as well. So now we're in standing. We're going to do some easy activation exercises for around the shoulder. First, going to start with what we call extension, so going that way, but we're not trying to do the movement. We're just going to push against the wall with an elbow. So we're just going to bend his elbow there, And it's imagining you've got something behind the elbow that we're trying to squash. We're not trying to put all of our force into it, we're just trying to make sure that it starts to switch on the muscles in the back of the shoulder. So squeeze, hold for 5 seconds if you can. You can build it up a little bit longer if you need to, but we don't need it any more than 10 seconds or so. And you're going to repeat that a few times as well. Exercise, we're going to do the front of the shoulder this time. So again, in the same position with your arm bent at 90 degrees, you're just going to make a fist against the wall. You can put a pillow or a cushion or anything to protect your knuckles if you feel like you need to. And all we're going to do is try and squash whatever it is, or an imaginary object behind your knuckles against the wall. We're activating the front of the shoulder with this. So again, not a big strong movement, but just enough to start contractions around the shoulder. Again, hold them for about 5 seconds at first, and then build up the repetitions. Okay, for this exercise we're looking at strengthening the shoulder again. So we're looking at external rotation of the shoulder, so pivot around the point. Keep the elbow in at the side and not reaching away and around. We're going to push against again, something that you can't move against. So a wall again, and we're going to push the outside of the hand into the wall. So we get this movement, not that movement. So have something behind your hand again that you can push against, and you can also give you a bit of feedback on how hard you're pushing. And we're just going to push and hold. So keep your elbow into your side. So it's going to bring you a bit closer, that's it, lovely. And then pushing out, rotating out. Hold again for about 5 seconds. Again, from the same position, we're this time going to look at lifting the arm out to the side. So we're going to push the elbow into the wall this time, as if we're trying to raise up to the side. Again, not the strongest contraction you can do, but enough to potentially squash anything behind there. Think about maybe trying to squash a grape behind your elbow. So we're going to push out to the side. Again, it doesn't look like a big movement, but it's activating the small muscles around your shoulder. And holding for about 5 seconds, building up as you can. Okay, for this exercise, we're looking at bringing the arm across the body with a little bit of strength. So again, we're using something that we shouldn't be able to move, so a bit of resistance. It can be a partner or your own fist, like Wes is making there, and you're just trying to bring your arm across your body, but stopping it with the other arm. So you press and hold again, and relax. Press and hold, relax. So really try and get that hand in towards your tummy. Hold it for 5 seconds or so, and then build up as you see fit. Another exercise for strengthening the stability around the shoulder blades is making sure that they're not lifting and rounding as you're doing any activities. We're going to work on activating the lower tracts. So we're going to put a hand on the wall, stand quite close to it, and you're going to try and focus on bringing the shoulder blades in and down, as squeezing in this V-shaped direction. Again, 5 second hold, or as long as you can, building up as you see fit. But we're looking for a nice contraction and no shrugging of the shoulders as you bring your shoulders back. Okay, for this exercise, we're going to weight bear through our arms on the table. So Wes is going to take a little bit of weight forward, and we're going to use one stiff arm on the table and focus on one arm more than the other. So we're going to take a little bit of weight side to side over one arm. We're not pushing a lot and putting a lot of weight through the other arm. This arm's taking most of the weight. And again, it's looking at making the shoulder activate more and be more stable when you're doing things. So we're going to go one side, then over to the other, back to the middle and over to the other. And then coming back, over to the middle, and we're going to go forward and backwards as well. So again, it's not a strenuous exercise, it's about control. Okay, so these are some slightly harder exercises this time. So we're trying to make you just work a little bit more around the shoulder, and they should be a little bit harder than your last ones. So lying on the side for the first bit, and we're going to take the arm up and out and above the head. So as if we were trying to reach forwards and then up above the head. So there's a bit more gravity involved with this one, and you have to try and keep your arm as flat as possible as you bring it around the side. Nice and slow and controlled. Again, we're looking for good control of the shoulder. Try not to shrug and try not to let it drop behind you or in front of you. Keep your hips nice and square and don't let them drop forward or backwards either. If you find it easier, you can be with a bent knee, just so you're more crook lying, so you've got more stability. Second exercise is a bit of external rotation, so we're just going to lift the hand away from the floor. So Wes has got his arm bent there, 90 degrees, elbow tucked into his side, and he's just taking his arm from across himself to out towards the side. We're not looking for a big range of movement, just being able to lift your hand against gravity and away from your body. So this one we're working on taking the shoulder up and out to the side from a side lying position. Again, lying on anything you can find. You can lie with bent legs again if it makes you a bit more stable. But we're just taking the arm up. We're not trying to reach behind us. We're taking it from your palm up to the about 90 degrees straight up beside you. Try not to push touch your hand straight down to the floor. It'll take off the contraction of the shoulder and make it have to work a little bit harder to get it off the floor again. So keep the muscles engaged. Try and again look for control. So again, for this exercise, we're focusing on a good extension and control with the body while lifting the shoulders. So it works the full, well, mostly the upper back, but we're looking at engaging the whole body with these movements. So kind of big reaching movements where you might depend on a little bit more stability. So Wes has got both arms on the wall, about 90 degrees, with palms facing in towards each other. Sorry, in towards, there you go. And then what he's going to do is going to reach up the wall and focus on extending his way up the wall. Again, you might need a partner around for stability and for confidence, but what this does is work the whole posterior chain, we call it. So all the back muscles will then get engaged a lot more effectively. And again, we're looking for good control around the shoulders, and you put a towel or anything that slides underneath your hands, and it just makes you keep your arms out a little bit further. Don't let them drop in, and try not to let them collapse to the ground. This one's got a little bit more emphasis on the outside movement of the arm, as if you were spreading your arm out to the side, but we're using a little bit of resistance with the wall. So start with your arm at 90 degrees, your foot nearest to the wall in front of you, and we're going to work on stretching up and out, but keeping your palm over the outside of your hand on the wall. Stretching up and forward. Again, we're activating the full back of the posterior chain to help with good control as we're lifting the arm. We're not trying to shrug the shoulder up, trying to be long and elongate right through the fingertips, right down to your foot. For these next exercises, we're going to look at what we were doing earlier when we were lying on our backs and making small circles or up and down motions. So for the first one, we're just going to go up and down And again, we're looking for good control around the shoulder, keeping a bit of weight through the thing that you've got on the wall. So it's just using a ball, but anything that slides on the wall has got to be sufficient. So going up and down, and trying not to shrug the shoulder. And you see Wes is doing it, he's keeping a good control over his shoulder blade, and we're just trying to get the movement from the shoulder itself. So we'll go up and down, and if we just go for left and right as well. And again. Looking for control rather than power. We're going to look at what we were doing earlier when we were lying on our backs and making small circles or up and down motions. So for the first one, we're just going to go up and down, and again, we're looking for good control around the shoulder, keeping a bit of weight through the thing that you've got on the wall. So it's just using a ball, but anything that slides on the wall has got to be sufficient. So going up and down, and trying not to shrug the shoulder. And you see Wes is doing it, he's keeping a good control over his shoulder blade, and we're just trying to get the movement from the shoulder itself. So we'll go up and down, and if we just go for left and right as well. And again. Looking for control rather than power. Okay, for the next exercise, we're going to look at shoulder control against the wall, but it's more of a push-up position this time. So we're going to keep our hands fairly close together, not much further away from yourself as shoulder width. And we're going to look at good shoulder control as you bring yourself in towards the wall. So Wes has got a bit of a lean on against the wall there, but you can also take one step forward as well with one foot, just to make it so you can make it a little bit easier. You don't lean as far forward. To make this exercise harder, you can lean against a table. So you've got a little bit more of an angle for yourself. But again, we're not making sure that we don't shrug our shoulders and we get a nice close together part of our shoulder blades at the back as Wes goes towards the wall there. Bringing his shoulders together and pushing away. We're going to do a seated row basically, so it just takes the balance element out of it. So when sitting on the chair there, we're just going to tilt forward from the hips, and we're just going to drop your arms by your side, and again we're focusing on good shoulder control and squeezing your shoulder blades together at the back. Keeping your elbows close to your body is probably going to be what to think about for this one. Again, you can add weight into this one as you see fit. Just to make your exercise a little bit easier for the row, Wes leaning against the table there, but you can put your full arm on the table just for a bit of support as you're doing your rows, and you can go for a single arm. Again, thinking about squeezing the shoulders at the back and keeping the elbow in as you bring it backwards. Okay, we're going to do some harder sets of exercises this time, so you might find that these are a lot more difficult for you, but you're feeling a bit weaker a lot longer down the line and you haven't got any issues with control, you just feel like you want to develop some power. So we're going to start with alternating lunges with a weight in your hand. So you're going to stretch forward and up with your opposite hand. So Wes is going with his left hand and his right leg there, so it's left leg, right arm up. So using a bit of weight in your hand. You can do these without weight if you need to, but we're looking at good control. Hopefully we're working on your shoulders more and your lower limbs aren't too much of an issue with these ones. Alternating left and right and coming back upright. We're just going to lift the weights up above our heads, so we're going to keep our elbows nicely close in, and we're just going to push up to the ceiling, alternating the hands. Again, looking for control You can do these without weights if you need to, but again, we're looking for good control and not speed. Keeping the shoulders stable and not allowing the elbows to drop out to the sides. And try not to shrug your shoulders as you're doing it, because we don't want you to compensate for any weakness there. Just taking your arms up and out to the side just to strengthen your shoulders, your deltoids, and taking them out to the side. Again, we're trying not to shrug the shoulders, and we're just going from the middle, just above horizontal there. And to make this a little bit harder, we can take it up above your head, just taking it through the full range. Again, try and keep it nice and controlled. If you find weights are too heavy, make sure you don't use them. We're looking for good range of movement and good control. This next exercise, we're looking again at shoulder control and getting a bit of weight through the shoulder. So this one's a bit harder than the other ones. So you're leaning through your shoulders like Wes is here, is on all fours there. We're looking to take weight across to one side, and then with your unweighted side, tap your shoulder. Bring it back down. Take your weight across the other shoulder. Make sure you've got a nice stable shoulder. Tap your other side. Again, looking for control on this one. Make sure you're stable and take your hand off gently to make sure that you don't then drop your shoulder down towards the floor. We're going to work on taking the arm up and out in front of you. So keeping a nice solid shoulder, moving across, your weight across, and then lifting up and in front. Again, try not to let your back drop or anything in this one, and make sure you take your weight straight to the other arm, hold it steady as best you can, and then lift forwards. If you don't want to lift your hand so high, you don't have to. You just do a nice easy resting. Again, try not to let your back drop, try not to shrug your shoulders, and keep your head in a nice neutral position.